Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a truly breathtaking ancient sensory experience pulled directly from the classical Tamil epic Silappatikaram. I am so incredibly thrilled to guide you through this today, because honestly, what we have here is an absolute masterclass in poetic imagery. We're looking at a 2,000-year-old text that captures a moment of such profound intimacy, such intense sensory richness, that it feels like you can literally smell the flowers and feel the cool night breeze just by reading it. Our focus today is on a beautifully crafted scene depicting the profound, everlasting love between two souls, all set against an incredibly vivid, moonlit backdrop. So, get comfortable, clear your mind, and let's explore this magnificent union of hearts under the moonlight. Okay, let's dive right into this mesmerizing opening line and really set the stage for our immersive journey into classical romance. The line reads, "A fragrant flowerbed where bees rest." With just a handful of words, the poet instantly grounds us in a deeply physical, tactile space. We aren't floating around in abstract emotions yet, right? We are placed directly onto a bed of flowers that is so incredibly fragrant and inviting that even the bees, nature's most restless, hardworking creatures, have actually paused to rest upon it. It establishes this mood of absolute tranquility, setting a remarkably quiet and intimate stage for the passion that is about to unfold. Moving right along to Section 1. A fragrant bed of flowers, exploring the earthly realm. Now notice how the combination of the local flora and the resting fauna immediately establishes a scene of overwhelming sensory intimacy. We have the fragrant flower bed and the resting bees that we literally just discussed. But then the poet layers in sugar cane for sweetness and creepers representing entwined devotion. Picture two things wrapping around one another so tightly that they basically become one single form. By bringing these highly specific earthly elements together, the source text paints a lush, vibrant, and incredibly sweet physical space. It acts as the absolute perfect cocoon for the lovers. What's truly fascinating to me here is how the physical surroundings of the sugarcane and the creepers are beautifully intertwined with the imagery of the lovers' broad shoulders. The poet describes these earthly elements as if they are literally sketched or drawn right alongside the broad shoulders of the protagonist. It completely blurs the line between the natural world and the human body. The sheer strength of the broad shoulders is framed by the delicate, sweet, entwining nature of the vines and the sugarcane. It basically tells us that this physical union is perfectly natural, harmonizing the strength of the human form with the delicate, intricate beauty of the earth. Section 2, the radiant sun's splendor, taking us to a cosmic scale. Let's really dwell on this spectacular metaphor for a second, where their intimate connection is compared to the absolute power of the sun lighting up the entire ocean-bound Earth. I mean, think about how massive a shift this is. Just a moment ago, we were zoomed way in, looking at resting bees on a single bed of flowers. And now, the poet pulls the camera way, way back to show us the radiant sun illuminating the entire globe, completely surrounded by the ocean. The author is telling us that the intensity, the sheer overwhelming brilliance of their union, holds the exact same magnificent weight as the sun breaking over the horizon and lighting up the vast, endless seas. It takes a deeply private, hidden moment and gives it a breathtakingly absolute universal significance. So, the crucial point this comparison illustrates is the intense contrast between two very different cosmic forces. On one hand, we have the absolute, breathtaking power of the radiant sun. This represents the internal feeling of the lovers, the sheer, blinding force of their connection. But on the other side, we contrast this with the spreading moonlight. This represents how their love actually acts in this specific moment. It's gentle, it's expansive, and it quietly coaxes the surrounding world to bloom in the stillness of the night. This brings us to Section 3, Expanding Under the Moonlight, focusing on the blossoming night. This text perfectly captures the awakening of the natural world, synchronized beautifully with the sweeping reach of the moonlight. The source material features this highly specific, gorgeous detail. As the vast moonlight spreads across the landscape, the bees open their mouths. Now, you might be wondering, why? Well, it's because the nocturnal flowers are actually blooming in response to the moon, releasing their nectar. Even the bees, who were supposedly resting just a few lines ago, simply can't resist opening their mouths for a midnight snack. The poet is showing us that the spreading of the moonlight isn't just a simple lighting change. No, it's an active, life-giving force. It is coaxing the world to open up, to receive, and to taste the sweetness of the night, directly mirroring the blossoming romance of our central figures. And this brilliantly illustrates the specific sensory details of the flora, starting with the deeply aromatic white-petaled jasmine garlands. In this classical context, you have to understand that jasmine isn't just a flower, It is the ultimate symbol of nocturnal beauty and romance. Its stark white petals perfectly catch the moonlight, making them seem as though they are practically glowing in the dark. By placing these jasmine garlands right in the scene, the poet injects a heavy, intoxicating perfume into our mental imagery. You are meant to feel the purity of the setting, absolutely, but also the overwhelming, heady fragrance that completely fills the air as the night deepens. We also see the inclusion of blue lotus wreaths, which adds this incredible layer of deep visual contrast and cooling fragrance to our moonlit tapestry. Think about it. If the white jasmine is the glowing light of the moon, the blue lotus is the deep, mysterious expanse of the night sky and the cool water it grows in. The lotus represents a profound spiritual awakening, opening its petals so gracefully. By weaving together the glowing white jasmine with the deep, elegant blue lotus, the poet creates a visual and aromatic masterpiece on this bed of flowers. It becomes a perfectly balanced, truly sacred space for the lovers to inhabit. Section 4. Tangled Garlands and Ornaments. Exploring a Sensory Overload. As we look at the imagery of tangled floral ornaments and untangled garlands, we see it perfectly representing a moment of pure, overwhelming emotional union. It's a moment where perfect order completely gives way to absolute devotion. At the start of the scene, everything was pristine and perfectly placed, right? The wreaths, the garlands, the flower beds. But as the emotional intensity of the lovers peaks, those pristine floral arrangements become tangled and beautifully mixed up. The source text purposefully notes that the garlands and ornaments become mingled and confused. It is such a stunning metaphor for two individuals losing their separate identities and merging completely into one. The physical tangling of the flowers perfectly mirrors the overwhelming, almost chaotic nature of losing yourself completely in the one you love. And finally, Section 5, the gaze of unfaltering love, leading to Covalin's verse. So, stripped of all the grand cosmic and floral metaphors, at the very core of this entire scene is simply this: unfaltering love. The Tamil text refers to a love that is unending, unceasing, and completely devoid of doubt or hesitation. After taking us on this incredible journey through the fragrant earth and blinding cosmic suns, the poet grounds us right back in the deepest, truest human emotion. All the beautiful surroundings, the spreading moon, the glowing jasmine, the waking bees, they are all merely the frame. The actual masterpiece sitting inside that frame is this pure, unbreakable bond of unfaltering devotion between the two characters. We finally see Kavalin locked in a moment of pure adoration, his gaze fixed entirely upon the sacred face of his beloved. He isn't looking up at the moonlight. He isn't distracted by the glowing jasmine or the deep blue lotus wreaths. Amidst all of this overwhelming sensory beauty, his eyes are drawn to one single focal point: her face. The text literally elevates her visage to something divine or sacred. It's this gorgeous, quiet realization that to Kavalin, the face of his beloved is infinitely more captivating and luminous than the vast ocean-illuminating sun or the expansive moonlit night. Breaking the heavy silence of the blossoming night, the protagonist is moved to express his overwhelming emotion aloud. Up until this exact moment, the scene has been entirely visual, tactile, and aromatic. We've experienced scents, sights, and the soft feeling of the floral bed, all wrapped in a quiet, reverent silence. But the intensity of his unfaltering love builds up so much inside him that silence is simply no longer an option. The physical and sensory overload triggers an emotional overflow, and Covalin just has to speak. Spilling forth without any hesitation, Kavalan delivers an unprompted, heartfelt verse that perfectly seals this union of hearts. What's so incredibly touching about this detail from the source text is that his words are completely spontaneous. It's an unscripted, unplanned outpouring of pure adoration. He doesn't recite something prepared. The environment, the glowing moonlight, and the absolute beauty of her sacred face literally draw the poetry right out of him. It is the ultimate culmination of the scene, where the sensory beauty of the natural world is finally matched by the beautiful, spoken truth of the human heart. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you to ponder how these ancient metaphors of tangled garlands and radiant suns reflect the timeless, sensory overload of true devotion. We've walked through a fragrant bed of flowers, stared into the blinding power of a cosmic sun, and watched the night blossom under silver moonlight, all to understand a love that took place 2 entire millennia ago. Yet, the way they lose themselves in each other, the way perfect order gives way to tangled passion, feels incredibly relevant even to us today.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Does the way we experience true unconditional love ever really change, or have we always been just souls looking for that one sacred face under the spreading moonlight? Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this incredible poem today. Keep learning, keep wondering, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.